Good morning, Tina. Just tried to call and got your voicemail. I know the weather hasn't been helpful the last few days, including today, but it does look like it's going to finally start warming up a bit. Would it make sense for us to target next Thursday or Friday as the weekend to go live on the market and potentially have it available for marketing coming soon, later this week? Question mark. All right, let's go ahead. Actually, hold on. One more thing I gotta take care of here, and then we're gonna roll, rock and roll.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. And I logged on. I had something about that the Zoom wasn't recognizing my microphone.
Okay. You have something now, you're saying, or?
Well, my little headset kind of thing. I don't know why I got that. I don't know if I was talking about the computer mic or the little earbud thing that's plugged in, but it's working, obviously.
Okay. Well, since we're talking, I'm gonna lead with something that was inspired by you.
I saw the video the other day.
Obstacles are opportunities in disguise. This is a perfect follow-up to my theme from last week, which was what you focus on expands. When something happens, you get to choose how to respond to that. You can choose to respond as or to react as though it is a problem, or you can react as though it's an opportunity. And the lens with which you view what happened determines what you can make of it. And Stuart's a good sport, so I'm gonna share something that was the reason why I'm sharing this quote for our mindset portion of the call that that happened late last week. So late Friday afternoon, at least late in my viewpoint, Stuart sent me an email, and it was a screenshot of a bunch of bounced emails. He's using Lead Deck, he's tapping to email, he's tapping to call and text, etc. And I think the subject line was GR, G and a bunch of R's, and a screenshot. And admittedly, it is frustrating when you're doing work and, as easy as tapping to, it's literally 2 taps to send an email, and it doesn't cost anything. And it doesn't take much of a response rate to be well worth it because of how much we are compensated when we help a client. And yet it can still be frustrating. And so I responded, and Stuart, I guess I should have asked this. I presume you're okay with me sharing the Google Doc? Okay. So I'm going to drop in the chat. Whoops. Hold on here. I need to share my screen. I'm going to drop into the chat my response to Stuart, including, where did my window go? Oh, that's why. I'm going to share my Loom response and breakdown because I think it'll be valuable. My point to Stuart was a couple of things. So the first thing I did was I asked, I have to find the doc. The first thing I did was I asked, what was the target audience? To which he told me absentee, out of state, and tax default. So immediately it starts to make a little bit of sense because just logically speaking, oh, Sean, welcome. I didn't realize, I saw a new face. I wasn't sure who it was. Anyway, we'll get to that. So logically speaking, it stands to reason that when we skip trace that audience, it's going to be not as accurate if it was a local owner-occupied property. absentee, out-of-state owner, and their tax default. And so a lot of times, maybe not all the time, but a lot of times, the local municipality sending them the tax bill isn't even getting the tax bill to them because there's misinformation, inaccurate information, or they're trying intentionally to make it hard, to get that information. On the one hand, you could say that that's an obstacle. On the other hand, you could say that that's an opportunity. So I told a story in that video from years ago. Before I was even licensed, I was wholesaling properties before wholesaling was like mainstream. And I would say the most predictable, successful way I had of finding deals was I was sending ugly yellow postcards to absentee owners. And some of my very best deals came from the postcards that got sent back to me as undeliverable. And I went and found the people. Now, this is literally 20 plus years ago. The resources and tools available then are, that were available then are not nearly what they are now. And yet I was still able, in some cases, not often, to find the owners. Why is that an opportunity? Because if I take the time to do the extra work, do you think anyone else trying to reach these people are doing it? Most likely, no. Or at least a much smaller percentage are going to do it. So my point to Stuart was a couple of fold. Number one, let's go deeper with a smaller target, because another thing he mentioned was I saved a bunch of zip codes, absentee, tax default. And those are out of state absentee and tax default. Those are wonderful targets. Absolutely. Like some of the best potentially motivated distressed seller targets you could reach out to. And yet he said, I saved a bunch of them or something along those lines. And what I think would be better for Stuart or anyone in a similar boat is to invest more time going deeper with each of those before going to the next one. So 2 specific things I mentioned to Stuart to do, or to at least entertain doing. Number one, using the enhanced skip trace tool. So in Lead Deck, the, native skip trace or skip trace layer 1 or level 1 is the same skip tracing that pretty much any of the big data providers are using. Literally any of them. PropStream, PropWire, LandVoice, Vulcan 7, RedX, MyPlusLeads. Insert whatever, which is they're skip tracing by the address. They're skip tracing by the address. The enhanced skip tracing is skip tracing looking at the personal data of the owner. And specifically, I think it's like credit data and some other factors in there. And so when we do that, when there is a hit, oftentimes we get a lot more data. Now, it doesn't work every time. Just a side note, you're only charged a credit if it does work. In other words, if you do the enhanced and there nothing more comes back, you're not charged anything. And since I'm going through this, maybe I'll actually demonstrate what this looks like in a minute. But that was the first thing I said to Stuart is, let's start there. Maybe and maybe he doesn't. I didn't even ask him how many was in the target, but it might not be all of them. It might be the ones that he's handpicking that have a high sell score and that he is certain he can provide a solution for. Meaning he is certain that he could either bring an offer or multiple offers, or he is certain that if he listed it, he'd get the deal done. So that's number one. Number two, I mentioned or recommended to consider sending direct mail. And we had direct mail built into Lead Deck. We have pulled it out momentarily as we rebuild it in a way that will be even simpler and easier, so that when you're in a contact card, if you want to send them direct mail, you hit a button and at least the way I'm going to do it, and there are multiple solutions to this, but the way I'm going to have it set up is I hit a button, they are fed into or added to a mailing list in my thanks.io account. That mailing list has a direct mail campaign that will fire off, and the next morning there will be a letter in the mail to them. In this case, their mailing address, specifically their out-of-state mailing address. And then I'll take it a step farther, which is if it comes back undeliverable, I'll go even deeper on trying to find where these people are. Where did they go? Which I'm not going to do a deep dive into that right now, but those two things alone, without the third step, should drastically improve. Let me get this. Oh, I did. Did I put this in the chat? I put it in the chat. No? Yes? Maybe? I did. Okay. Beautiful. All right. So that was a very specific example, but I think stuff like this happens all the time in our lives and in our businesses. And how we choose to view them determines, what we get from whatever is happening. Is this an obstacle, or is there some way that I can frame this as an opportunity? One that anyone who's been licensed, before 2024, things changed greatly in our industry on August 2024, and even before it was official, I was like, this is screaming opportunity. And some others, not people that are here, because if you're here, A, you've survived it, and B, you have a different mindset. But there were lots and lots of real estate agents that just could not get over the fact that, the whole thing's changing and my world is crumbling down and blah, 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 blah. No. It was an opportunity to demonstrate that you bring real value to the transaction. And for those of you, like, I'm being a little bit cryptic there, but that's when the NAR settlement was and buyer agent commission and all of that good stuff. And literally nothing has changed in my business. If anything, like the time since then, my business has been in way better shape than the time prior to then. So if you're skilled and you provide actual value and you communicate and demonstrate that value, it's not a problem. It's not an obstacle. It's an opportunity. Because most of the other licensed agent in your market, most, not all, but most, can't do that. They don't actually provide value. They don't communicate or demonstrate how they are proactively solving problems, etc. Anyway, that's my morning mindset rant. Obstacles or opportunities in disguise. Thank you, Deepak Chopra Campbell.
Got a great book for you. I'm putting right now the Audible into it. This is a book by Dr. Caroline Leaf. She does brain stuff, and she's talking about exactly what you're talking about. It's called Switch On Your Brain. It talks about your neural pathways, that the ones that you use the most become the super highways. And to develop a new thought pattern, you have to work on that thought to create the new highway. Any pattern that you don't use eventually fades away. And it's based on neuroscience, and it is a fantastic book written from a Christian perspective. And I mean, it is good. Dynamite.
Great share. Yes. I will definitely check that out.
You'll finish. Oh.
Go ahead, James.
Oh, I finished Chop Wood, Carry Water.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
That's a good one.
That's great.
Yeah. It's such an easy read. I mean, such an easy read.
Perfect for Audible too.
Totally. All right. Game plan for today. I'm gonna just show you real quick my scheduled monthly home value email update. So this is an action plan that I use every month, except, I didn't do it in December because holidays and busy and whatever. But generally speaking, I run this.
Josh,
what's that?
before you forget, Josh,
Yep.
can you show us how to get to that enhanced searching?
Oh, beautiful. Okay, I'll lay this out for you. Then I'll get back out of the presentation. I'll share that, and then I'll continue on from there. Great point, Arthur.
Thank you.
So I'll share that. I already scheduled that out. You don't need to see me schedule it out. I'll show you how I tweaked it slightly to be relevant to the month of February. It wasn't a big deal, but I got a great question from George, another one of our Founders Club members, that I answered this morning. I think it came in sometime yesterday, right around kickoff, if I remember correctly. And I thought there was some value in there to share. And then, time permitting, I'm just going to do my 3-step blueprint. I'm gonna go hunting for a deal, because I've got a fair amount of active listings. But between the cold weather and I just think some other factors working against me, God, my actual in escrow pipeline right now is a little thinner than I would like it to be. So I gotta get some contracts rolling in this week. So we'll see, time permitting, how much I have for that. To close the loop on the enhanced skip tracing. So in Lead Deck, if I go to any deck, you can do enhanced skip tracing on any card in here. And a card is just a contact record. Quick side note for all our Founders Club members, I recorded a 10 or 11 minute video breaking down like our language map, what, you know, the language of Lead Deck and what that means in like layman's terms. And you can find that at the top of Launchpad if you're curious. Anyway, if I go to, let me do this actually. Why be wasteful? I'm going to actually demonstrate. So I'm going to go seller, and I'm going to pick 17015. I'm going to pick a zip code, and I'm going to get really specific here. I'm going to look for multifamily, and I'm going to see if there are any. No absentee out of state in that zip code. That seems wild. Well, whatever. I'm going to choose these 2 tax default multifamily in 17015. Actually, here, because I want to demonstrate this a little bit more, I'll also pick the single family. There we go. Okay, so I got 48 out of state absentee and 13 tax default. Let's see what happens if I stack the 2. Out of state and tax default. 0 leads. Okay. Let's try out of state involuntary. 3. There we go. Okay. I'm going to run now. So I've got 3 leads. Talk about a small deck. I mean, this is small. And so these are the 3. The seller signal on this one is medium, but it's 86. 86 out of 100. It scores it 1 to 100. And the seller signal is AI algorithm that takes over 800 data points and maps it against over 11 million properties, scores it from 1 to 100, on 100 being, these are, at least according to the AI algorithm, like 100% likelihood of the property changing title in the next 90 to 180 days, for whatever that's worth. But I've got a seller signal on all of these. If you don't see a seller signal on a card, it just means it's NA. Meaning there's something that the data wasn't able to be whatever parsed or something about it. It's not a big deal, but just know that if you don't see it, that's why. Okay, so I'm going to view this card here, and without doing anything else, what do we have here? I've got an 808 number. I am not going to call or text that number because that's Hawaii. And that would be like 4 in the morning there, maybe 3 in the morning there. So I'm not going to call or text that number right now, though I should later. I will later. But I can and could and should tap to email. Now, my tap to email I don't have set up on my laptop, which is why I'm always recommending people use their phone, because it just natively works a lot faster and easier. And since I'm demonstrating, let me do that. Let me actually fully demonstrate here. Hold on. Let me pull it up on my phone. If you're new to Lead Deck or curious, Lead Deck Curious, let's call it, all you have to do is log in on whatever your preferred browser is on your phone. I use Safari because I've got an Apple, but you can use whatever you've got. So right there is my deck on my phone. I'll stop my screens here for a minute. So there it is on my phone. I tap. I'm going to view this lead. And I'm not going to tap to call or text because, again, it's like 3 a.m. there in Hawaii, something like that, 3 or 4. It's the middle of the, but look at that. I tap and it's pre-populated with this information. Boom. Now, there was only one phone number and one email. Let's say that email bounces, which it could, although it is a Gmail and it's his name at Gmail. So I think I've got a good email. But if I don't, this is where we can do the enhanced skip trace. So it's in purple. I tap it. Okay, it says enhanced, found 2 contacts. So what other info did it find? Well, wait a minute. Nope, it didn't actually add any. So maybe it found the same 2 contact details. In that case, you're not charged a credit. Okay. Now, this week, you'll be able to tap this button and I can send a letter to this mailing address to Joshua about bringing him a buyer. It's not live just yet, but we're literally, that's like we're knocking that out this afternoon, at least me as the beta. Okay. So at this point, there's nothing more that I'm going to do with this one, but let's see what we have in the next card. So this one has 3 phone numbers and 2 emails right out of the gate. And I've got 2 phone numbers that are DNC and a landline. For now, I'm going to tap to email. I can tell right away that it is very likely that these emails are not going to make it through. They're going to come back bounced. At least one of them. It seems like this guy might be in education. In fact, I don't know, he might be a professor at Michigan State because the email is his first name dot last name at mst.edu, and his mailing address is Michigan, Auburn Hills, which is close to East Lansing, which is Michigan State. Okay, so let's see what happens when I enhance this one. Okay. It said, now what is going on here? I may have to talk to Sean. It told me 5. Oh, you know what? It will yeah, okay. I know what's happening here. So it's enhanced, but I'm going to go to the next one. It's enhancing it, but it's checking, but it's not finding new records. So it said 5 because there's already 5. There's 3 phone numbers and 3 emails. Okay. So let me find. I'm going to keep going here until we get one because I want to show what it looks like when it actually appends, because you'll be able to see the appended details. Okay, this is a great one. All right, so this is out of state. It's free and clear. There's an involuntary lien, and I've got a good working cell phone that's not on the DNC. So I'm going to tap to email. I'm going to tap to text. It was a blue text, which, by the way, if you're using an iPhone and you're tapping to text, make sure you share the contact. Okay, so I tap to share my contact because I'm increasing the likelihood that when I then call, it will say potentially Josh Shanley or Josh or something along those lines, instead of it saying potentially spam. Before I call, I'm going to tap to email. I can tell right away. I was right, by the way. The one before that, actually, no, I was wrong. The email I thought was a good email and wouldn't bounced, and the one that I didn't think was a good email seems to have gone through. Whatever. That's why you shouldn't guess. You should just, oh, he already respond. He already responded. No. So now what? What do I do? Okay. Got it. Period. Thanks. Period. If or when anything changes, or if you hear anyone else in the area talking about selling, please keep us in mind.
Josh, another hack for iPhone. When you're sending a text, if you'll put a dash in your first name, that will also have Apple identify it as maybe Josh.
A dash?
Just a dash and then your name. Just your first name.
Why?
Because when you have your name there and it comes in, Apple will say maybe Josh because you put your name in it. That is something that the iOS does automatically.
I guess I'm confused about the dash. What does the dash have to do with it?
It was what was recommended by some of the people in the tech world. I
Okay.
can't tell you why. I can just tell you that's what they said is a really good strategy for getting identified, because Apple will tell you that it may be spam, but if there's a name, it says maybe, because it's trying to identify who it is if it can.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't know what the dash would have to do with anything. That's interesting. All right. So I struck out in showing Arthur. Well, we showed how to enhance, but none of them ended up being enhanced. So I'm going to make a new target. I'm going to choose that zip code. Let's see what we have. If I do that zip code, townhouse condo. Man, low counts.
Josh,
Go ahead.
what's the Cliff Notes version of the letter? I mean, I can print and.
Oh,
mail letters from
here. I shared it last week on Thursday.
Must have missed it. Or forgot.
Where is it? Oh boy. Here it is. Okay. I'll drop this in the chat as well, and then I'll open it up. And it's really fancy. Not at all. Not at all. What the heck? Trying to get the chat. Where is the chat? There it is. Okay, so the letter is this. Very simple. And this QR code, I don't even reference the QR code in the letter, but people will scan it. And if they scan it, I will absolutely follow up with them. It really doesn't matter a whole lot where you send them. One of two places that I pretty much exclusively send scanners of my direct mail. Number one is my contact page. And number two is their seller dashboard with fast cash offers. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because if you use thanks or something like that, the minute, literally the second someone scans it, I get a notification that so-and-so that received Stuart Ebal at this address with this phone number and this email, if I have that information appended in thanks, just scan this letter that you sent them. And I get a text and an email. So then I can follow up with them. And I'm usually just curious. Hey, it looks like you scanned the QR code on a piece of mail that I had sent you. What was, what motivated you to scan the QR code? It was just, whatever. Okay. Well, I mean, would you consider an offer on the property that we sent you the letter on? And that's literally how I would fumble around and talk on the phone. Not like super salesy, slick guy. Like I intentionally talk slow and almost fumble around with my words a little bit, because when we talk fast, it oftentimes doesn't give the person on the other line to even have enough time to process what we're saying. When we talk slowly, they can process. And it doesn't always mean you're going to get a yes, obviously, but you at least give them enough time to process and give you a yes or a maybe. Whereas if you talk fast, most people's default response is no. This is a fast talking salesperson, and I just want to say no because I want to get off the phone. All right. because I want to show one that actually enhances so we can see what it looks like. I'm just going to choose the 4 out of state. This is a specific zip code in my county, condo townhomes that are absentee out of state owners. So I'm going to switch back to my phone so I can tap to call and text. And I'll relate the reply that I already got back to my opening monologue. The obstacles or opportunities. I got a response. I had a deck of 3 people, and I got a reply. That's a win, because all we're looking for is an answer, yes or no. I opened up a loop. Would you consider selling? And the loop is closed. But now I can move on. And I'm definitely going to call the Hawaii person this afternoon.
Them from the deck when they do that.
What's that?
Once they reply no, do you delete them from the deck just to get them out of the way?
I don't. I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't. I just don't. No, today, like this is an absentee out of state owner. That answer could literally change tomorrow, because they get tomorrow. What is the date today? The 9th.
Right.
The tenant told them, you will absolutely have your rent today. And midnight passes and still no rent. And they're like, I am so sick of this, whatever. Right. So especially, I guess it depends on the audience, but I don't really do much with that. As far as like managing removing or whatever. I'll favorite some, but what I'm looking for is if I can close a loop so that either I'm getting to work on giving them the thing that they asked for, which I'll get to George's example in a minute, because this perfectly ties in to what we're talking about. That's really what I'm looking for. All right. This one has a 96 self score. And it's a Texas address, 5 phone numbers, 4 of which are on the DNC. There are 3 emails. I'm going to tap my way to through the 3 emails and watch how fast I'm done. That literally took about 5 seconds. And I'm not gonna reach out to the ones on the DNC, but let's enhance it and see what happens. Ooh, this one actually worked. Okay, so look at this. Now I have the purple SS. That's when you know a number. Whoops, that was on the DNC. So we make it so that here's just so you know, we make it numbers that are on the DNC. We don't add the tap to call or email, but if you do tap it, whoops, if you tap it, you can still call it. Okay, we're just trying to make it. We're trying to add friction to doing that. And I'm not recommending that you do that. I have, so look at all it added like 7 phone numbers. More than that, actually. A bazillion phone numbers. Only one of which is not on the DNC. No, I take that back. There are 4 landlines at the bottom that aren't on the DNC, and there's 1 mobile number. And here's the thing. It is very unlikely that this is actually William. Very unlikely, because it's way down the list. And also, it is very likely that this person knows William. So I'm still going to send it. And when I call them, this is an East Coast number. So I will call them. I will play dumb and just say, hey, I'm looking for William. I don't know. It seemed like this might be his phone number, but I certainly could be wrong. And I can't remember. I think there were, I got 4 new emails too. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to rock through those emails. And then let's see who this mystery number is, because I will be shocked if it's William. And also, even if they play dumb and they don't know, they might forward my text to them. Yeah, hi. This is Josh with eXp Realty. I'm trying to reach William about the property in Carlisle, 2 over. And I was reaching out because I was just curious if he would be at all open to an offer on the property. We have a private client who would be interested. If you could let me know, or pass along my info if this isn't William, I would greatly appreciate it. And if so, if you could let me know either way. I did shoot you a text as well. Thanks so much. Have a great week. Mark, the purple means it's enhanced data. So I had done this. This is the 4th one that I did. This is the first one that actually added more data. Generally speaking, I've found that about 50% of the time it hits, which this is a small sample size. It was only 4 that I've done so far. But generally speaking, that's what I've seen is around 50% of the time. This one has 3. Also, I will say that will vary depending on the seller target, right? So like if it's a local owner occupied seller target, most likely the original, or like the built-in layer or level 1 skip tracing is going to be pretty accurate. All right, so this is interesting. It's a mailing address in Sarasota, but there's a local landline on this one that is the primary number. So, and this is definitely her Gmail. It's her name at Gmail. Like that is her email address. No question. And I have a second email address, which is an Army email. So she is most likely here on assignment or something like that. I'm using the wrong word, but my brain's still not on yet. Oh, okay. So the landline was no good. I definitely have a good email, and there's another good landline, but I would love to have a mobile number. So let's see if we get a mobile number. Oh, wait a minute. Huh. Interesting. Now, the enhancement shows this as a mobile number. I've never seen that before. It added the ability to text it, and then there's one additional phone number. That's what the purple SS means. And then there's one additional email. I think the first one was the right one, but this one is also first name, middle initial, last name at Gmail. One of those 2 numbers is her Gmail. And if I'm tapping to send from my Gmail on my phone to a Gmail, like that is going to that's going to land in her inbox, very likely anyway. And just because I can, even though I don't think this is going to go through, I'm going to tap to text the number as well. I'm going to go through, I've got 2 more in this deck, I think. And then I'm going to share my conversation with George because it relates to what we're doing right now. And then I will show my monthly home value update, etc. Okay. This one has 5 phone numbers. The first 2 are on the DNC. For those curious, it does rank them in chronological order of most likely to be accurate. It doesn't guarantee, and I know I'm like a broken record on this, but I think we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. I will reach out to all of them because I have an overwhelming amount of evidence of people that aren't the right person, but they know the person, they're related to the person, and they share the communication with that person, and then that person reached out to me. Hey, my dad said you reached out about something. What's going on? What do you got? Right? And then usually I have to figure out, okay, can you be more specific? Because we're reaching out to a lot of people every day. And usually I can reverse engineer. Was I reaching out about a deal that I had? Was I reaching out looking, in this case for sellers who would consider an offer? What was the reason that I had reached out? And usually they're pretty transparent. Okay, so blue text. I shared my contact info. Blue text. I'll share that again. I would say this is not likely a good email, but just by looking at it, and then I'm going to enhance, and then I'm going to call the ones that I texted also. Okay. Well, that is interesting. I don't recall seeing that happen. So it added one to the top that wasn't on the DNC. Interesting. Well, let's see if we can call here. Hold on. I need to check who is this. Cynthia. Actually, I don't know. That might be her email. That might be her email. We'll see. She lives in Maryland. Mark, yes, the contact, the ability to share your contact only shows up when it's a blue iPhone to iPhone. It won't show up if it's a green.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. 30178884559. At the tone, please record your message. When you finish recording, you may hang up. Press 1 for more.
Cynthia, good morning. This is Josh with eXp Realty. I know this call is a little bit out of the blue, but I was curious if there's any chance you'd consider selling 235 Aldenwood Drive to a private client of ours this winter or even springtime. We're just trying to uncover some opportunities with still pretty low inventory on the market. If you wouldn't mind letting us know or letting me know either way, I did shoot you a text as well. Thanks so much. Stay warm and have a great week. All right, one more, and then I'm going to share George's question and my response because it's a perfect jumping off point for what I have been doing. Okay, 5 numbers all on the DNC. Boo! Obstacle. Not really. I don't care. I'm going to tap to email. I would say, one of them is the guy's name at a company, and the other one was the guy's name at Hotmail. One of those 2 emails is probably his email. And I did get, I think I did get a hit here. It got a bunch more phone numbers, mostly landlines. But it does look like I got a blue text. All right, there you have it. So George's question, which is very relevant to what I've been doing here. He emailed me, 5:13. It was just an hour before national anthem. When you get a chance, look over this and tell me what you would respond. I'd like to set up some time tomorrow after 1. Thanks. So George sent this text message. Hey, Gregory, it's Clara and George with Starlink Realty. Is there any chance you'd consider selling your property at street address to a private client of mine? So we want to have of mine in there in the next 30 to 90 days or less for the right price and terms, of course. The person replied, sure. What are you thinking? You're probably an investor. So we got a positive response. He wasn't sure how to respond. One thing when I sent the loom back to him, let me also put this in here for you. I don't think I put this one in the chat yet. One thing I messaged back to him, it's a little thing, but all of our words matter. Okay? All of our words matter. I told him, I don't think it makes any sense for him to say it's Clara and George, because it's not. I'm envisioning Clara and George like standing next to each other and sending a text. A text message or an email is from one person to another person. So as silly and small as that may sound, it makes a difference, because if there's any red flags on the recipient's end, the likelihood of them to respond goes down. So I said, just say, hey, Gregory, it's George with Starlink Realty. Small thing can make a difference. In my Loom, which if you want to check it out, you're more than welcome, I said, I'm going to answer assuming that you don't have a local portfolio buyer that you are reaching out about. If he did, that's the story I would tell. In other words, he's got a local buyer by the name of James who's looking for XYZ. And so I would say that, we're actually reaching out on behalf of a private client of ours. His name is James. He's looking for properties like yours, and we just haven't found him anything currently on the market that fits what he's looking for. Would you be open to and available for a quick chat later this afternoon? If that were the case, that is the approach I would go. I'm going to take this. I don't know if this is one of the people that I was tapping, but might be. Hello, this is Josh. Or just a hang-up message. Whatever. Answer your phone. One of my nine daily non-negotiables.
And I thought I was the only one that got those calls.
Oh yeah,
Josh,
I mean it's
before I
constant.
hang up.
It's
I
constant.
thought I was just fortunate.
Yep. So if that were the case, that would be the approach. I gave him an answer that anyone with our institutional offer dashboard can use, which is we actually represent several out-of-state institutional buyers who are looking to acquire off-market inventory right now. Would it make sense for me to put together preliminary numbers for you? ? I can get that info to you later this afternoon. Okay, so just ask a question, right? So acknowledge, provide some benefit, and then ask a question. That is a framework you can follow to continue any conversation. Acknowledge what they say, ask a question or provide a potential solution. Provide a benefit or potential solution and then ask a question. In other words, create some expectation for them to respond again. If you just make statements in your reply, it is very likely that the conversation will end. Right? We have to create the expectation to respond. I think Terrell, I don't know if Terrell's on here, but at some point last week, Terrell pointed out that I put a question with a sentence that was clearly a statement. That was on purpose. Because question marks create an expectation in the recipient's mind of there being a response. So there are times where you can put a question mark on a sentence that it will make no sense and it will be completely illogical. But there are also times where it makes sense. It makes sense. I don't remember the example, but it occurred to me and I didn't address it at the time because I didn't see her comment until after. But the simple act of having a question mark, like one of the most effective subject lines is interested ? Or interested, Stuart ? Just curious ?
One I'll add, if it doesn't lend itself to a question mark, after your sentence, put thoughts ?
Yes. Or interested ?
Yep.
Interested? Yes or no? I don't care. Just let me know.
Love that interested.
Yeah.
I'll rip off and duplicate that, bro.
Yeah. I mean, it's like such a simple thing, but in fact, this could have just been, We actually represent several out-of-state institutional buyers who are looking to acquire off-market inventory. I could put together some preliminary numbers for you. ... Interested? Question mark. I was trying to force that a little bit, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, but you get the point. Interested? Question mark. Just find as many ways possible to use that this week, and you're going to get a lot more responses. And that's all we want, is a response, because all conversion happens in conversation. We have to have more conversations so we can write more contracts and close more transactions. Okay. So there's some good notes in here. What else did I have on my list for today? All right. Let me show. This is scheduled out, and going to fire off tomorrow morning. And it is I do a 3-step action plan. I send an email. The only goal of the email is to get them to click the link and look at their dashboard. I send a bump text, a text message to in my case, about a third of the people that are getting this email. I also have their phone number, and they're still subscribed to text message. So I can send that bump text to about a third of the people that are receiving this email. The only goal of the bump text is to get more people. Well, actually, the goal of the bump text is severalfold. Number one, to get more people to go and look for the email, open it, and click on it. Number one. Number two, it will create conversation opportunities on its own. So if you do it, if you do it regularly enough, some people you'll just end up in conversation, and it may lead to an appointment right then and there. Number three, you will get a certain number of them, you'll get better data from. In other words, they say, well, I don't see it. Can you resend it? Sure, I'll resend it. Oh, by the way, this is the email that I'm sending it to. Is this still the best email for you? Oh, no, it's not, actually. Send it here. They give you, you had their junk email, or like their coupon email or whatever, and now you've got their good email. But the money comes from step 3, which is the next day. So 24 to 48 hours later, you send them an email, only the people that looked at their dashboard, and I have 3 variations, asking questions related to why were they curious? Why were they looking at their dashboard? And that is where you will get the most real sales opportunities, contract opportunities, is that 3rd step. If you just do the first 2, you'll get some. But if you do that 3rd step, that's where you will uncover an outsized amount of potential deals. And the other thing that happens from that 3rd step is you're building your future pipeline as well. Because some people will say, right now we're just curious, but we are thinking about selling, later in the spring, or whatever. Like, it's any number of those things. Like, actually, we're still a year out from selling. Like, to me, that's great. That means if I do my job, that means I know I can count on a listing next year around this time, right? So, like, doesn't matter. We're just trying to fully disposition all of those opportunities and close the loop on as many of them as possible. And for those, I do have this. What is this called? HV. Home value. I have this campaign for those that would like to R&D it somewhere. I don't remember what it's called anymore. Here it is. Here it is. If you're using Bold Trail, you can use that. This will only work if you're using the full marketing suite with fast cash offers, just transparently. But I would also encourage you, like, if you don't have that or don't want to use that or whatever, figure out a way to do something like this. And just in general, this 3-step framework in general is really effective. So you could email a new listing, text bump to that listing, and then 24 to 48 hours, reach back out to all the people that clicked the link in the email and ask for their feedback. or ask if they would like to check it out in person, or ask if they would like you to send you more information. If they would like you to send more information. I wasn't planning to do this because I had forgotten, but I'm also going to share this, which is my deal of the week email. Last week was a busy week, and it's already scheduled. I hope I didn't mess it
How
up.
do you, Josh, how do you kind of balance sending out your monthly with your deal of the week? Do you try to like stagger them?
Well, I try to send out the monthly home value update early in the week, Monday or Tuesday, and my deal of the week is usually later in the week, Thursday, Friday.
Cool. Yeah.
So, I mean, and also, like, I don't know that this matters, right? But I have also done it where I've segmented out. So, like, if I'm behind and I send that home value update on a Wednesday and I want to send my deal of the week on a Thursday and I don't want to bombard, I'll just remove them. I'll exclude the people that got the home value from the deal of the week email, which in Bold Trail is easy enough to do. You literally just choose, I have an email, or I have their email, they're subscribed, and I don't have a property address. That's who would get the deal of the week email, because I already sent an email to the people that I have email, subscribed to email, and has address. So, if you don't want to feel like you're bombarding them, you could do that. And it literally takes an extra, like, you can do it at almost as fast as I just explained it.
Yeah.
I mean, the first time it might take you, figure out how to do it. But so 2 weeks ago, I sent an email. My deal of the week were off-market deals, and it was 5 variations. And I told people to pick, tell me what number you want and respond. Last week, that process worked, but I wanted to feature some of my own inventory. So I had a coming soon, a just listed, and an off-market that she's going to sell. She wants to sell. But for those of you that were on real early, she was one of the ones that I was messaging. I don't know the timing yet. So I have her categorized as still off market, but she definitely wants to sell. I had one that I just listed last week, and then I have one coming soon. In other words, it will be coming soon on the market this week. And then, anyway, those were the 3. And I sent that out. I tried a different PS. I haven't gotten any response to that PS, but whatever. Got to try stuff. And I forget how many responses right now. Not as many as the week before, but more, a few anyway. And in fact, I have to get back to a couple of them because a couple of them came in like late Saturday night or Sunday morning. And when possible, I like to send personal video replies to them because when I do that, I feel like that's putting another, like, what's the word? I almost said nail in the coffin. That's the wrong analogy to news, because I'm not trying to kill these people. I'm trying to help these people. So I'm just stacking the deck in my favor. So if they're thinking about real estate and they're responding to real estate and then they see me, that's almost them meeting me. And the statistics say that 75 to 80% of people when buying or selling will meet with one realtor. And if they feel like they've met me because I've sent them a personal Loom video or a personal video, whatever platform, I feel like I'm making the case for them not to have to go and look for someone else to help them. So I have to get to those. Right. And Sean, they feel like, you're a real person, because you are, right? But until that happens, you're just like, you're just black text on a white screen, they get to see you and hear your voice, and you can communicate your market expertise and knowledge, right? Depending on what you're saying in the message, you get to demonstrate that as well. So this model for me is working, but that doesn't mean I'm going to send multiple options every week, Most likely what will happen is if I send 4 of these emails in a month, 2 or 3 of them will be just a single property. And depending on the month, 2 or 3 of them might be this, choose your own adventure. And I think this was Wendy. I had this below the PS. I added this up here. Do me a favor and please forward this email to anyone you think might be interested. Right? So like when you tell people what to do, they'll more likely comply. And I'm not like, barking orders at them, but, I'm giving them a directive. And I know at least 3 instances in 2025 of people got my email, forwarded it to someone else, and that person called or texted me. And that may seem like an insignificant number, but those 3 are either have closed or active clients with me. Because that's like a really good lead, It's not, just some random person on the internet opting in for, information about a listing or something like that. All right. 10:30. I'm going to go hunt for a deal real quick. How's that sound? See if we can go on a deal hunt here. I'm going to see if I can find any potential deals in my MLS. Following my own 3-step blueprint, which I did a Zoom with Mark. Mark's dropped a couple comments in the chat. I did a Zoom with Mark on Friday, and Mark has multiple potential deals and listing opportunities in a week of being in the Founders Club and working through the Deal Sprint on demand modules. So not too shabby. Multifamily. Where do I want a multifamily property? I might as well start with my county and see what we got here. Only 7. Jeez. 7 multifamily in the whole county. Well, 2 of them had a price drop. What's this triplex here? What do we got going on here? Oh, this guy. I've talked to this guy. Let's see here. That one has a price drop. This one's interesting. It's 2 units. It's on almost an acre. Estate being sold as is. It's been on for almost a month. I'm reading this. I don't think this is more likely. Here's like the, my gears turning. This is way more likely to be an owner occupant buyer. Somebody that wants a way to defer, to have some income to defer expenses or costs, which, maybe shouldn't be an immediate deal breaker, but all right. This one's been listed for almost a month. Cap rate of 6%. I mean, give me a break. What are we doing? I'm going to let this one simmer a little bit. This one's going to sit for a while. So I'll come back once maybe it's a little more motivated. This is a 2 unit. Oh, it's also contingent upon the sellers finding suitable housing. Pass. 2 unit in Grantham. This one could be. This one might have potential. It's only been listed for a week. Well, here's what I'm going to do. What's the zip code? I'm gonna go and see. I don't think we're gonna find many buyers in that zip code because that's a really I didn't even know that was a zip code if I'm being honest. And it's literally like 15 minutes from my house. But we'll see if there's any multifamily. So there's 0. Okay, but I know that this is the neighboring zip code, and only one multifamily buyer. Maybe, what about in Dillsburg? That's the other adjacent one. Well, I think I'm going to move on. But Let me go back here. I'm going to keep an eye on this one and see. Tenants present, second floor. Yeah, it's only been listed. It's not even been listed 2 weeks. I'm going to keep an eye on it and keep moving along here. Let's see. Is there anything in Perry? One. 2 unit, Duncannon. And I like Aaron. 211 days on market. What is going on here? Let me see if I can get Aaron on the phone.
You'll reach Darren Michigan with Iron Valley Real Estate. I'm not available to take your call right now. Please leave your name and number. I will get back to you. Thank you.
Aaron, hey, what's up? It's Josh with EXP. Hey, I was calling about your 2 unit in Duncannon. When you have a minute, give me a buzz. Just curious what you got going on with that one. Thanks. He'll call me back, but not uncommon that they don't answer. All right, what do we got here? Interesting. 4 units. For those wondering, like in a lot of cases, I would use a lot more filtering, but when there's so few of them, just going through and kind of eyeballing is, can just save time and, frustration, because if I spend a bunch of time doing a bunch of filters and then it's like 0. So I always look, even when I'm doing the little Redfin hack, for those of you who have seen me do Redfin, where I'll go, particularly when I'm doing for demonstration purposes, areas where I don't have MLS access, which I'll even do one that I do have MLS access. But if I pull up, I'll pull up the city here. The first thing I'm looking at as just what is the total number of homes for sale in that area, number one. And then I'll decide, okay, based upon that, let's check how many have been listed for 60 or more days. So that cut it about in half. And one of my hacks is always the fixer upper. This is interesting. This one could be worth reaching out to or seeing what's up. This one could be good bait, depending on what's going on with it. What you can also do here is, let me think this through. I could choose multifamily. And it's showing 0 because I have fixer upper. There we go. So, and this is just Harrisburg, whereas I had pulled in my MLS all of Dauphin County, which is the whole county. But right here, there are some multifamily. What is this thing? 14 beds. Anyway, I'm just looking for something good. I've called about this one before. I'm kind of striking out here, if I'm being honest. I'm not really finding anything that's all that exciting. I'm going to go back over here. Actually, here's what I'm going to do. There's one that I have in my notes to call about. I had called this agent October, maybe November. And it's bank owned. And I saw it, I think Saturday morning, pop back up because it was under contract and came back on the market. And I have cash buyers in that area. So let me see with Brian if he'll tell me what happened with it. Hey, Brian, it's Josh with EXP. I'm calling about 2287 Grandview. We talked about this property back in the fall, I think, anyway, October, November sometime. And I saw that it was under contract and then just came back on the market. I was just curious what's going on with that one. I would love to see if I can get this one off your books. I know you've been working on this one for, if I remember correctly, years. So give me a buzz or shoot me a text when you have a minute, and I'll see if we can get you an offer that'll actually get this thing done. Thanks. So I remember when I talked with him, he got this asset from the bank years ago, and they rented it for like 5 or 6 or 7 years, something like that. And then they finally decided to sell it. But no matter what he tried, they wouldn't listen, and they listed it at 300, which is, I mean, maybe fully renovated, maybe would bring 300, maybe. But they wouldn't listen to him, and now it's been listed for almost a half a year. It's been under contract at least once. And if I remember correctly, I have one guy that we did make an offer on it, and they have an automated online offer process, and it kicked it back out, and it just kind of died there. But this has all the makings of incredible bait. Bank owned, potential for value add, has been on the market a while, has been under contract, etc. And it might be that if we can get an offer and get the asset manager who's probably like sick of dealing with this thing, a clean, my guess is, well, it had to have had contingencies if it came back on the market. So if we can bring a super clean cash, no ball, nothing, I bet we could get it a lot closer to 200. We'll see. So the next thing I'll do, once I hear back from Brian, I'm going to wait till I hear back from Brian. And then what I will do is first, I will go to my phone and I will search Hanover. And I thought I had more. I have 3 in here that I can reach out to. I don't think he'd be interested. He's a multifamily guy. But I have these 3 that would be interested, at least enough to take a look. But then, and maybe I'll use this as a jumping off point or a stopping point for today. Then I'm going to go, what is it? 17331. Yeah. So then I'm just going to start plowing through the rest of these cash buyers. And I'll probably also look at these guys. 112. Something seems off with that. But I'm going to start with the cash buyers, and then I'll move from there. And then what if that bait? What if they don't like that bait? Well, I can go back to Redfin, or I can go back in here and then look for what other properties. If I deselect bank owned, what other properties can I find here that maybe have been on the market for 60 plus days. 63 of them. What about not new construction? 22 of them. What about I just want detached? We'll go 13. And then that's small enough that I would probably toggle through and look for the vacant ones, the ones that are obviously vacant, or I'll look for, I maybe don't do a good enough job of communicating this in the doc that we have with the 13 ways. Like I'm in a lot of cases, I'm looking for incompetent listing agents, if I'm being honest. Like the pictures are terrible, or there's some kind of red flag, and then I start to dig deeper, and then it becomes obvious why this hasn't sold yet. This one, not necessarily. They dropped it a little bit. That's my listing. I don't think I've been on the market 60 days. Maybe we have. It's a bit of a messy situation. This one's had 0 reductions. From this one, it's had a little bit. It's been on 100 days. Look at this. I mean, one picture. It's a terrible picture. And it looks like this would be a potential income property. It's noting, potential live-in business owner. This would be one that I would at least call the listing agent and be like, hey, what's the deal with this one? What's going on with this one? There's that one. So nothing else on here is screaming deal, but I would look for other stuff too. I'd look for multifamily, and I might even look at, what I only pulled detached, what also, is one of these 3. There's only 7 of those. That's a terrible picture. These are terrible pictures. 65 days. Not a great picture also. Like it's just low quality, right? Like it's not, well, maybe, I don't know. The outside ones look like it's grainy, but maybe it's just my eyes. This one, what's going on with this one? 107 days. Is this one vacant? It looks like this one's vacant. This one, although it looks like maybe this was a flip. I mean, this picture's kind of crooked. Anyway, I'm gonna as soon as I hear from Brian, that's the bait I'm gonna use. But then the pivot is I've got somebody that's ready, willing, and able. They're not interested in that bait. I'm gonna see, is there anything else on market that would make sense? And then I'll go and find 17331 Hanover. I'll stack out-of-state absentee and tax default, out-of-state absentee and involuntary. Actually, I'd probably, and the vacant, and there's lots of seller opportunity here. Lots. So it's just a matter of connecting the dots, re-engaging with the buyers that I already potentially have, seeing where they're at, what they're really looking for right now, and then going and finding that for them. So, right, step 1, find good bait. Step 2, use the bait as a reason to reach out. And then step 3, either making offers on what I'm reaching out about, or going and finding what they're looking for, what fits their buy box, so we can make offers on that. I don't know if the last 20 minutes was helpful or useful in any way, shape, or form, but hopefully you got something from it. For those who are interested and I've had a lot of questions in the last week in particular. Like, I don't understand what's happening when, where do I go to find, the calendar, things of that nature. So we created a Google Calendar that I will drop in the chat that has the days and times for Closers Cafe, the days and times of public workshops that we're hosting, the days and times of our sort of open office hour demo Q&A, all of that stuff in one calendar for anybody interested. You can kind of add it to your Google Calendar to know. If there are the Founders Club only items, you'll see listed there, but obviously not the links and so forth, because that's for those. But most of what is on there is open to the public. Most of what you'll find on that calendar. And we also are adding replays of the Closers Cafe to Lead Deck AI /closers. Our Wednesday sessions are at /sprints. And the Friday sessions, which was brand new as of last week was the first one, leaddeck.ai /ask, ASK. All right. Good start to the week. If anyone has any questions, comments, thoughts, topics for any of the sessions this week or ideas, I'm open to that. Our Founders Club members, I have a special guest coming tomorrow for our mastermind who will present for the first 30 to 45 minutes. I just think it will be very, very helpful. And it's a topic that it's a mindset related thing. It's not a tactical strategy thing. I saw this person present this information, and I literally, before I was even done with it, I reached out to him and said, hey, this is really, really good. Can I get you on one of our sessions and share with our group? So we have that, and then we'll do our normal mastermind session.
Are you just going to tease us with that, Josh?
It's around the idea of certainty, and how you can use that in every area of your life, but especially in business. And although on the surface, it doesn't necessarily directly address a question you asked last week, Campbell, but it kind of does. And so I haven't forgotten about your question and request. And in fact, I've been making notes, which is essentially, I'm adding these cards to my two hands. How do I connect more of the dots so I can be writing more contracts and closing more transactions? So I definitely have not forgotten about that. And tomorrow's topic is a perfect lead in to the more tactical, specific answers to that question. So yes, I'm just going to tease, but it'll be really good. I promise. All right. We'll be back tomorrow. The replay of this will be at /leaddeck.ai /closers later today, or worst case scenario, first thing in the morning tomorrow. And then we'll be back. If you need anything or have any questions in the meantime, you know how to find me and where to find me. Thanks all.